go to like the first one that comes to mind is like a Nietzsche, who believed the masses were, I wouldn't say bad necessarily, but inferior, let's say, right? So this idea of saying, well, what's the consensus view? What does most people believe? And that's what we should kind of hang our values on. Philosophically, do you think that's ultimately the right approach, or is there a better approach to that?
Well, I don't believe we should decide on values by what do you call it, a consensus or a democratic vote. But I do believe in the scientific origin from evolution, where we do have the basic values of caring for each other in a group. Otherwise, the individual would not survive either. We have those kind of very basic values, and it's not the same as bringing together 1 million people today and say, let's vote on if we should kill half the world or not. It's not the same thing. It's more like trying to dig out what kind of organisms are we, and what do we need to survive as a species and have a good life.
I like that. It's very pragmatic. It's very pragmatic to say, let's just figure out what works, what actually works to get us to continue to grow as a species and to be successful or what have you, and go with that.
I think,
first principles.
Yeah, I think so. And then again, I think the existentialists have been a bit misinterpreted, maybe not Nietzsche's kind of extreme, but it's sometimes you get the caricature of the existentialist that, well, whatever you feel is your subjective desire or is right for you. Well, yeah, that's it. What's right for me is right for me, and what's right for you may be right for you. I think that's a misconception.
Yeah. It gets back to your point before, right, about decision making, how that's a factor, right? You should consider what feels right to you, but that can't be the only factor. Just it can't just be what's right for somebody else is the only factor. It needs to be, you need to do the work. You need to work through all of that and figure it out.
Exactly. But what I do want to stress is as Sartre said, that we're condemned to freedom. You know that quote, and that's kind of a difficult one. How can you be condemned to freedom? That's the paradox. But really, there's no one else. That's the heart of existentialism. There's no one else is going to make your decisions for you. And even if you don't make any decisions, that in itself is a decision to leave it to someone else. So you can't escape, really. You're condemned.
Well, and I think in some ways that's part of the benefit of religion and spirituality is that, you know, I don't say this in a negative way. I think it's very functional, is that it relieves some of that. You feel like, hey, I'm giving this to God. I don't need to bear that responsibility anymore. I'm just going to leave it in their hands or whatever it is. And there's probably something very comforting in that, you know.
Oh yes, it is. And the more, I mean, you can see that in the world situation, the more uncertainty there is, the more fundamentalistic religious groups grow, of all kinds. It could be Christian or Muslim or whatever. But the fundamentalism is even more narrow. You get to know exactly these are the rules to follow and do it.